Hi, folks. Welcome to the Getting Your Edge podcast. My name is Dennis.
And hi, I'm Judy Gratton.
And we're here to help you right-size your home and your life. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 11 of Getting Your Edge, How to Right-Size Your Home and Life podcast from your fabulous Edge Group team, where we give you an edge in all your real estate needs. And we are going to switch gears. We don't have a guest today. We are going to talk about real estate, which is our area of expertise. I'm your host, Dennis Day, and I've got my co-host here, Judy Gratton. Judy, how are you today?
I'm great, Dennis. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a fabulous time going to Long Beach and stayed at your place. Gosh, what a gorgeous, gorgeous spot.
Thank you. We love it.
Before we get going, I want to remind you this podcast is free and we don't have any subscriptions or advertising that takes your time or your money. I'm asking you to please give us some feedback through Apple Podcasts, subscribe, follow us, give us a rating in Spotify or another directory. Share this podcast with someone who could use the information, and that would really help broaden our audience and help our business. So, Judy,
yes,
let's talk real estate. And is it a good time to sell your home?
It is absolutely a good time to sell your home. And we've given people lots of different things to think about if they're thinking about downsizing. But one of the big ones, if you own a home, is actually selling your home. And that's one of the big decisions. When should I sell my home? And right now is an excellent time to sell your home.
How come?
How come? Well, because we have in our area, and we are in South Snohomish and North King counties of Washington State, and real estate is always hyper-local. But in our area right now, we have an incredible shortage of inventory still. I think a lot of it is people don't know whether they should sell their home yet or not. They're afraid of interest rates, and so they're just staying put. And with that, people who are looking to buy, there is nothing to buy. So when a home does go on the market, if it's priced right, it is selling quickly, and it is selling sometimes still for over asking price.
Before we had this interest rate hike, the market was insane, where multiple offers, thousands over asking price.
In one case, $1 million over asking price in Bellevue. Yes.
And offer going under contract in just a few days sometimes. People even deciding to buy a home based on internet pictures. A little nuts. Is that still happening?
No, not to that degree. But again, if a home is priced correctly, it is going under market more quickly. Although, having said that, the reports that we get through our multiple listing service go back 30 days. And so we're coming to the end of March. We don't have the numbers for March just yet, but the February numbers for Snohomish County and King County were both in the low 40s for the average numbers of days that a home was actually on the market before it went under contract. But the thing about that to remember, in our area, again, our market time really begins to pick up the end of March. And because the weather gets better, we're getting closer to the end of school, people begin to think about moving. And so I think we're going to see that time period shorten as long as we continue to have such little inventory available. But January and February and March are winter months. Not that many people move. And so to have 44 days being an average market time in Snohomish County and 42 in King County is amazing.
42? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's crazy. It used to be 5.
I know. Sometimes 2, sometimes 1. But I mean, I can just attest to a house right across the street from where I live sold in 2 days. You have 3 things to work with in a home. You have location. That's something you cannot change. It's great. It's not great. It's somewhere in the middle, but you can't change it. You have condition. That's something that can be changed if you want to, and maybe you don't want to. And then you have price. And you can manipulate the price as a seller. You're the one who makes that decision up or down. Those are the things that are going to drive who comes in, how many people come in to see your house. The agents definitely can help you market and do the best presentation for your goal. So your goal may be totally different than someone else's. Most people say, well, I want top dollar. That's great, but what does top dollar look like? If you want top dollar for a home that needs some updating, but you don't want to do the updating, that's a different top dollar than from someone who has already spent a lot of money and the home has been totally redone. That is another top dollar. And if you're not there where you've totally redone your home and it's ready to go on at the highest dollar amount that it could probably get no matter what, then you need to weigh, is it worth the money that I'm going to take to make it in that condition to get that dollar value? And we have something called the cost versus value report that shows you some of the most popular remodels, what they cost, and what you can expect to recoup when you sell if you do decide to do those in advance.
We're part of the John L. Scott
Yes.
program that's in Western Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, etc., Western states here. And we have a Market Ready Plus program. Can you kind of explain what that means?
If you're a homeowner that has decided that they want to or need to do some work on your home, let's say your home needs a new roof. A roof is not a cosmetic item that somebody can just update. It is a structural item. And especially if someone is getting a loan from a bank, the bank may not be willing to loan money on the home unless the roof is replaced. But let's say you don't have $25,000 laying around to get the roof repaired. If you have enough equity in your home, John L. Scott has a program that will connect you with roofers and all sorts of different contractors to do all kinds of different work, and they will be paid at escrow out of closing. Now, if you don't sell for some particular reason, you're still going to owe the money back to the lending institution that John L. Scott is connected with to do the work. And I believe you have 2 years to pay that back if you didn't sell. But considering that, like I said, most homes, we don't have enough inventory right now. So if you do those structural work and then you have someone there who helps you to prepare the home to look its best, it should be off the market. You can count, pretty safely on somewhere around 30 to 40 days at the worst.
We had someone in the office who had his client use this program just recently. All they did was paint the inside and the outside. They borrowed about $9,000, a small home, and they didn't redo the bathroom. They didn't redo the kitchen, but just some cosmetic work, borrowed $9,000 interest-free, and now the home's listed. And
interest-free, if you did not sell, there would be some interest involved after a 90-day period, I believe is the number. But up until that 90-day period, you get your home sold, and you're right, it is interest-free money that you can actually, I think there's a fee for it. Don't quote me, it's not astronomical, and it certainly makes it a lot easier for people who do want to get more money for their home and don't really want to have to take money out of pocket to do it. So Market Ready Plus is a really great program. The contractors are right there. You have your own page as a seller that you go to. You can research through contractors. You can ask them to send you a bid. You find a bid you like. You push a button. It goes to the lender. The lender pays the contractor, and they get paid at closing. It's really slick. It's a great program. So,
I think you can choose your contractor, right? If you want to.
Yeah, you can choose your own, or you can go through who they have listed in there. And if you choose your own, we just add them into the system. And so it's all pretty seamlessly connecting where you don't have to do a lot of legwork or phone work or anything like that.
And let me ask you this. If I had a home that was in not such good shape is it going to be cost effective for me to spend thousands and thousands, $100,000 to rebuild that home and then sell right away?
Well, one of the things that we do for you, the Edge Group team, is we're going to do a faceted market analysis. We're going to look at homes, providing we can find them, that are completely redone and what they look like. And what we bring to you to look at shows you photos, shows you what the competition is for, say, a home like yours, and what homes sold for that were completely redone, and then some that weren't. And you can decide when you look at that, and then we look at the cost versus value report and see that, okay, totally redoing a kitchen and a high-end way with high-end appliances and whatnot, you may only recoup 75% of the money that you spent to do that kitchen. Do you really want to do that? Or maybe we just paint the cabinets and paint the kitchen and put on some new faucets and drawer handles, things like that, and just make it look clean and better and let the next person who's actually going to buy the home do the work themselves. And it will still sell. It may not sell for the top dollar, but it will sell for a very good price that you'll probably be happy with.
You might just be selling it with some slight improvements. If somebody really says, oh, I love this house, they may have their own ideas of what they want for the kitchen or the bathrooms. And if you do a big remodel, you're not going to recoup your cost. The next owner might come in and want to make changes anyways.
And I've seen that happen. I've seen them tear out a brand new kitchen and put a whole new kitchen in, and just kind of like, oh, your stomach goes, well, all that money out the window. But the seller didn't. They were satisfied because they felt they had done the work, and a lot of people have pride in their home. It's important to them that it's been seen in its best. And, they generally will get top dollar for doing that work. Every person is different. Every home is different. Every story behind why someone is moving is different. And all of that has to be taken into consideration around the pricing, around when a contract does come in, what the seller is willing to accept and do and what they're not willing to accept and do. And the bottom line is they really are the people in this market who still get to decide. It is a bit more of a buyer's market in that there's more negotiation going on. For instance, inspections are the weakest link in a contract in the state of Washington, because if a buyer has an inspection contingency in their contract, they don't even have to do an inspection to decide, oh, I changed my mind, I'll go away. And I can guarantee you that when you've gone under contract, we're required to post that it is pending inspection, and the buyer changes their mind and it goes back to active. The first thing the new buyer thinks of is what was wrong with it, even if nothing was wrong with it at all. We can discuss the ideas of maybe having the seller have the inspection done in advance so that they're aware of any items that are structural or safety items, because that's what we look for in an inspection. And if they choose to fix them, great. If they don't fix them, will we run into situations with lenders or not? Those are questions we have to kind of consider. And then how's the price going to be affected by those items if they don't fix them? And all of that we're required to disclose to the new buyer or buyers when they come into the picture. But these are all different things that are part of a contract that we know a lot about and can give advice to our sellers, again, so they can make an informed decision, because they always get to make the final decision.
This is a big change for just even 6 months ago to a year, where the buyers were waiving inspection, waiving their appraisals, escalation clauses, but it's just a different market today.
The real estate market is always fluid. It will always change. And whatever market you're selling in, that's the same market you're buying in normally. I mean, unless you hold on to your money for 2 or 3 years and things change. But if the values have dropped or adjusted slightly down because interest rates have gone up, that's happened everywhere pretty much. Sometimes more in some areas than others, but If you're buying in a market where prices have adjusted downward, then you're going to get pretty much the same value. So if you had like a 2% price drop in the value of the home you were selling, you can pretty much count that you're going to get a 2% price drop or adjustment in the value of the home that you're buying based on what you're buying. If you're selling a $700,000 house and you're buying $1 million house, yes, it's going to cost you more money, but the $700,000 house could have been $720,000 2 years ago, and the $1 million house would have been $1,000,001 2 years ago. So you're still getting that same adjustment in value when you're buying that you have when you're selling. And the same will be true if you're in a different market. So when people say they're waiting for the market to change, if you want to be in the market we were in 3 years ago, you also had to buy in the market we were in 3 years ago. And part of the reason that we were so short of inventory then was that people were afraid, where am I going to go? The way realtors discuss the number of homes that are for sale is we talk about months of inventory. And what that means is if no other homes came on the market starting today, no new listings, today it would take the entire number of real estate agents in our area 1 month to sell what we have right now. And that's called 1 month of inventory. During 2020 and some parts of 2021, frequently inventory was very low, sometimes a week, maybe 2. And I just checked, and in Snohomish County right now, based on the report that I have, which was the end of February, we had 0.3 months of inventory, and in King County, we had 0.9 months of inventory. So we're still under a month. We're still, even though buyers have more ability to negotiate for things like inspection, it's still more of a seller's market in that if your home is priced right, and it's desirable location and condition, chances are you're going to be gone in a day or 2 or a week.
So we're saying the market has slowed down, but really not much.
Not in our area. I can't speak to other parts of the country, and I know other people look at this. And so my question what I would suggest is you ask your realtor, what does our market look like here? What are the continuous days on market? How many months of inventory do you have? And they should be able to answer those questions for you. And then you take that information and then you decide, okay, it's going to take me this up, because you also, where are you going to go? You better figure that one out. How are you going to work that? Because you can buy a home before you leave the home you're in. There's something referred to as a bridge loan. If you have enough equity in your home, you can buy another home. And then when you close out the mortgage on the first home. And then you can move out and you're no longer in that first home. So it's vacant and sometimes easier to sell that way. And then you can stay in your home. Ask for a period of time after closing. That's always, everything about a contract is negotiable. So can you rent back for a period of time until you can move into your new home? There are different things that we can do to accommodate the seller's needs. That's just part of the equation, is how are we going to go about doing that? And then there's the preparing your home to get it ready to sell. How much work do you want to get done? Do you need to get any work done? One of the biggest important things about selling your home is the first impression, and that starts when people drive by. So what does the outside of your house look like? What does your yard look like? What does your driveway look like? Sometimes something as simple as new doorknobs and painting the front door would be sufficient. A welcome mat, cleaning up the landscaping. These are all decisions that need to be made to make sure that we are going to get the best dollar value that we can get for your home.
They always say you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Correct.
So if your yard is run down, full of weeds, the lawn needs to be mowed and so forth, a lot of people just drive by and they say, well, no, that's not for me. Part of it is because they say, well, if that's what the outside look like, what does the inside look like?
Those are relatively normally inexpensive fixes. And then It just depends. There are people who have homes, maybe you inherited a home from someone that was a rental for 40 years and nobody ever did anything, and it needs a lot of work. There are buyers out there that love those homes. Many of them are investors. They're going to flip them, and that would avoid you having to do that work, and you would probably get top dollar for a flipper. But remember, it's not the home that's been totally gutted and remodeled, so you can't expect to get that dollar amount for your flipper home. That's your condition. And those things, the things that are going to really stall you from getting a home sold are your structural and safety items. And that's where the banks come in and go, no, we're not loaning money on this home because the roof is bad, because the electrical is bad, because there's plumbing leaks, because there's bare wood on the outside of the house, and they don't care if you just put primer on it. They'll let you sell it they don't care what color it is. Just cover up the bare wood, because bare wood exposed to the elements will rot. The safety and structural elements of a home normally should be addressed, but even those, sometimes flippers don't care. They have cash. They'll come in and take care of it. I had a home with a failed septic system, and we sold it because they didn't care. It was priced right for that type of home.
And that's where a home inspection done by the seller could be proactive. You know what has to be done. And even if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to fix it, you can tell the sellers, here's what the issues are.
A lot of the reason they might be uncomfortable about doing an inspection is they do get the knowledge. Many of us, including me, have not been under my house in 35 years, and I have no intention of ever going there. I have had other people go under my house, though, so I do know what kind of condition it is in. But I can't tell you how many people, when we've gone to sell their home, it's like, have you been under the house? No. Do you know if there's a vapor barrier? No. Do you have any critters living under there? No. Don't know. When they find out that underneath their home is not good and they don't want to do anything about it, they must disclose that. They cannot hide it because they have knowledge, and that's the law in the state of Washington. I don't know what it is in your state, but we have a 6-page disclosure form, and at the very end of it, it says, is there anything else that you know of that could affect the buyer's decision to buy this home? And so you do have to disclose whatever you find. Even if you fix it, you have to say, well, we found that the roof was bad, but we replaced it. That gives the buyer more confidence in what they're buying. That report can give them more confidence in what they're buying. Even if you don't do anything, at least they know that they need to put a vapor barrier under the house. It doesn't come as a surprise. But it is something that some sellers just do not want to know. When you're listing your home, those decisions are all yours. We just present you with, these are the alternatives, and this is what could happen if you do or you don't, and you can go from there. But you're making an informed decision instead of just shooting in the dark and hoping that you get it right.
Just had a recent client buyer, and she qualified at 7% interest rate. If your home is sitting on the market, one of the options is to drop the price, $20,000, $10,000, whatever. And honestly, that doesn't really help the buyer much. It might save them $10 a month.
Right.
What are some options that they might think about as a seller that could help the buyer deal with these high interest rates and get more money?
There's something referred to as a buy down, and people can buy down the interest rate by paying money up front. And sellers can contribute to a buy down for a buyer. So, and a quarter of a point of interest doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at the difference that makes in their payment, especially over the long term, it's huge. If you were to lower your price by $20,000, you're not going to get that money, and neither are you doing anything for the buyer. If you took that $20,000 and you offered it to buy down the interest rate, they might not need it all. Then you could go ahead and contribute to their allowable closing costs. The bank will allow that to a certain point. And all of that will help make it easier for the buyer to get into your home. And it's the same $20,000. It's just been spent differently. So if your home was sitting on the market for a long period of time and you are willing to lower the price. Maybe the market shifted from the time you listed until today, and it requires something. That might be something that can be beneficial.
Let's see, just prior to the pandemic and through the pandemic, the sellers dictated the market. They could ask for the moon, your firstborn child, etc. And now it really changed.
The buyers had low interest rates, so the buyers could buy more home. So we had more buyers buying higher end homes because they could. Now that the interest rates have gone up, their home buying power has dropped some, where they maybe could buy $1 million house before, maybe now they can only buy an $800,000 house because the interest rate sets the payment to a point where they don't qualify for the same amount of money. Now that they have, they struggle with those interest rates, and buyers, they don't have to give away their firstborn child to buy a house anymore. Sellers can help out if they choose to, if it works for them. And oftentimes it's a matter of looking at, it's been on the market a long time. I really want to buy that house that I found, and I can't do it until this one has gone pending, because that's part of the deal. If you list your home and then you write an offer on a home while your home is listed, you would be writing an offer contingent on the sale of your home. That suddenly gives you more impetus to want your home to be gone. So there's so many things that go into trying to figure out and get you all the way to closing successfully and moved into your new home.
Judy, the sale of a home is really a team effort between the agent and the homeowner. What can be done to prepare the home for sale?
In terms of marketing your home and why do it? To get in front of as many people as possible. So hopefully we can generate multiple offers still, which will drive the price up and give you better conditions in your contract. But what do we need to do the best marketing? Ideally, the home should be in really good condition. When you're dealing with a fixer, you're not taking a lot of photos because there's not a lot to look at. That, you have to kind of be creative so they're not so bad that you scare people off. So we have people come in who, if you're living there, can give you ideas on things that you can do. You're moving, so start packing. This is part of your decision. You've decided you're going to downsize. You've decided you're going to move. We've talked with the estate sale person. We've given you several different things to consider to prepare for that move. So now you're going to list your home. Now you're going to bring in the estate sale person to help you get rid of the things that you don't want to take with you. And then we're going to have someone come in and help and say, okay, it would be good if we could do this. We're going to maybe do a deep clean. So the home is clean and sparkling and the windows look good and whatnot, and have the landscaper come and do the landscaping. My famous brand new welcome mat. That's really important. I know it sounds silly, but it really does make a difference when people walk up to the door. We do digital staging. So we can actually take the furniture out of your home and put different furniture into your home in photographs, or fill a vacant home in photographs with furniture, and you cannot tell the difference. It gives people the idea that it is the model home look. And if the home is vacant and they get there, then they can place their own furniture. If it's not vacant, we try and get you to depersonalize it as much as you possibly can, because you don't want them to walk in and see your home. Your home becomes your product. So now you're going to sell it. You want to make it look good for somebody else to see themselves in it. So if you're still living in it, we ask that you take all your personal photos off the wall, get rid of the trophies, pack them away. Again, you're packing. So start getting those things packed up, put into boxes. I am not a stickler on not putting things in the garage. I think you can definitely start moving them into the garage. You must leave a path to the hot water heater if it's out there, and to the electrical box and the furnace in case there is an inspection. So those things they have to be able to get to. But you can start packing, and that's really something that you can do to prepare the home to list. Then we come in and do the professional photography necessary. And then we bring in the digital staging. And then at that point, another thing unique to John L. Scott is the 3-day listing launch. It's 3-day during daylight savings time because we have the hours to do it. In the winter months, it's 2 days, but we start earlier on Saturday. And we're into daylight savings right now. So we do one in the evening on Friday evening from like 5 to 7. Then we do Saturday 1 to 4 and Sunday 1 to 4. And we try and make those events to get people to want to come. So Dennis is famous for his Facebook Live open house where he's walking through your house and talking while we're there, and it's being shown on Facebook. We also try and have a lender there if we can get someone there to talk about different loan packages that might work to buy the home. We have water and packaged foods that people can take away with them. And we have toys for the kids if that's appropriate. If we're in a home, then that works for it, to keep the children occupied so mom and dad can look at the home. And then we broadcast this out through all social media avenues. And we normally get a very large turnout. So then marketing your home, getting the most exposure that we can get. And then beyond that, we report back to you weekly. So you can see what's been going on. And if we need to make any adjustments, what kind of feedback did we get? There's a lot to selling your home, a lot of decisions that you need to make. And that's what we do. That's where we can help.
To make the best profit, get the outside of your house looking good. Doesn't have to be English garden, but it needs to look tidy.
Right.
Inside, fix the minor repairs. Drippy faucet, fix it. Depersonalize your home, clear out as much as you can, everything if it's possible. Deep clean. And I don't mean yourself. We often hire people.
We do. That's part of our...
We hire people come in, especially who do this for a living, and they do a deep cleaning that really gets it looking sparkling and nice. And that is really critical. Then we have the listing launch.
We will have an open house Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Invite all the neighbors, publish it on Facebook. We'll do the virtual staging.
Virtual staging. It's pretty amazing. On the invite the neighbors, the reason we do that is because a lot of them know people who want to live in the neighborhood, and they're going to come by and take your flyer anyway. So you might as well invite them over. You're not going to be there. We don't suggest that sellers hang around when someone comes to look at your home or when we're doing an open house. It makes the buyers uncomfortable. Again, they're back in your home, not in a home that is for sale. You're going to be gone while all of this is going on, and we'll report back to you what happens.
I don't know how many times I've heard, oh, I really want a place where my mother is right next door to me, or in the same cul-de-sac, or on the same street, or my cousins want to come and live in this area too, and it'd be great if they were right next to us.
Yeah. Having
the neighbors, although your neighbors might not buy your house, but the people they know might be interested.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about exposure. How many people can we expose this to find the right person for your home? Because it only takes one out of all those people.
All right, we've got a buyer. Why is a real estate agent needed at the time of negotiation?
Because you need someone who truly understands the contract and what the buyer is asking of you. Are they going to ask to have an inspection done? They have to pay for it, but do we feel they're a serious buyer? What kind of loan are they going to get? How much money are they putting down? How much money are they willing to put down as earnest money up front, which should become your damages should they break the contract illegally, at least in the state of Washington? All of these questions are things that we can look at the contract. We can talk with the realtor. A big one is the type of financing. Is it FHA? Is it VA? Is it conventional? Each one of those have different requirements that might, for instance, in VA, there are specific things that the seller has to pay for the buyer. I think it's the escrow. I'd have to double check on that, but it's when we're with you and we're looking through that, that's what we're looking up. Okay, what does this one entail? What does their letter look like from the lender? You frequently hear that term pre-approved. So does the pre-approval letter say, based on what you told me, buy this much house? What value does that have? You told them something. Did they check it out? Did they verify your employment? Did they verify the credit? Those are things that we know how to look for. The same thing goes if it's FHA, they have different requirements. If it's VA, how much money are they putting down? Do they have money? In other words, are they a strong buyer? There's multitude of things that we can change in the contract to protect your interests normally. It depends on everything is negotiable. Can we get you some time after closing rent back period of time? How long do they need to close? Do they have to sell another home to close? Is that home already listed? Is it the correct price for the home they're selling, or is it overpriced? If it's overpriced, why would you take an offer from them because their home isn't going to sell? They're not going to be able to buy yours. It goes on. It just, every contract, every transaction has different parts to it that you won't know the answer to until you're in the middle of it. Real estate agents that have experience have been through most of these before, and they know if they don't know the answer, they know where to get the answer. You really need someone in your court representing you, ideally 100%, to protect your best interests. And I say ideally because there are different types of representation. There's seller representation, where you're represented 100% by the agent who's representing you. There's buyer representation. That agent represents the buyer 100%. And then there's something called dual agency, where the listing agent is holding the house open. A buyer comes in. The listing agent is representing you. You've signed a listing contract with them. A buyer comes in and wants to buy the house and write up the deal right now with that particular agent. Are you okay with them becoming a dual agent and representing both of you? And here's how that might look. That person comes in the home and they say, man, I love this house and I'd pay $5,000 more for it if I could get it. If I'm representing both of you, I cannot tell you, the seller, that, because that would be damaging the buyer. I can do nothing to damage either party. I must always be truthful to everyone involved, no matter who I represent. But if I don't represent the buyer and I heard that, and I represent you, the seller, I can say, hey, that buyer just said they would pay $5,000 more. So maybe we counter the offer back at $5,000 higher, and maybe you get more money, maybe you don't. But these are all parts of why you work with agents who have experience, who know what they're doing, and can help you get all the way to closing. There's no reason to write a contract if it isn't going to close. And so frequently we can get those questions answered before we waste your time.
Well, the buyer's agent is obligated to negotiate for the buyer's interest.
If they're
not for the seller.
Buyer only. Yeah, if they're representing the buyer only, that is correct.
So you're going to want somebody who represents your interests.
Ideally, yes. But what would normally happen is, the way it should happen is that if the agent who is representing the seller, then also, let's say there's no other agent in town, they're representing the seller really wants their home to be sold. The listing agent should go to the seller and say, I have a buyer who wants to write an offer. They want me to write the offer. That would mean that I represent both of you. Is that okay with you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? If the seller says, sure, that's fine, go ahead, then you inform them, I have a duty to be honest to everyone. I can't lie to anybody, but I can't hurt either one of you. I can't do anything that would be detrimental to either one of you. That's where that would come into. There is something called no agency. So there are situations where an agent may come into play just helping to fill out documents between two neighbors that want to switch houses. It doesn't happen very often, and probably really shouldn't happen at all, because, they should be protecting whoever they're working with.
The seller has to agree to this in writing. Selling agent can't just say, oh, we're going to do this. You as a seller have to agree to it, and you have to sign a document.
Writing. If I'm the agent, I don't want you to be able to come back and say, I never said that. So I would want it in writing. It may be, if there's no other agents in town and you want that home sold, and here you have a buyer who wants to make an offer today, and it sounds like it's going to be a good offer. We won't know until it's written what they want. Then we would have a better idea of what they want and whether or not that offer is going to work for you, but we didn't miss the offer. There is an option where dual agency makes sense as long as you understand that's what your agent is doing. If people have questions about real estate, there is no cost to reaching out to us via text or email or however you want. And I don't care where you live, we'll do the best we can to answer them. But we are in the state of Washington, and so our expertise is with Washington state real estate law. But otherwise, hopefully we gave you some ideas of what it looks like and what things you should consider when you decide you want to sell your home.
Let's wrap it up. Is it a good time to sell?
It is absolutely a good time to sell. And
Okay.
we'd be happy to help you do it.
But you can't expect to sell over asking price, multiple offers within a week, expecting to have your home on the market for a little while.
Maybe. Location, price, and condition.
Get your yard cleaned up.
Please.
Empty out the inside. Paint. You can't believe how much paint can make a difference inside and outside.
And I will add a caveat to that one. Please paint it a neutral color. My office is not a neutral color, but if I was going to sell my home, I would paint it an off-white, a beige, a light gray, something that everybody can work with. Please don't paint it black. I've seen it all, and it's really hard to sell. And all they see is a black room, and they don't like black. Or in one case, we had a condo, and it was turquoise. Everything. The bathroom fixtures, the floors, the carpet, paint on the walls, it was turquoise. That was a hard one to get people to see past.
Deep clean your home.
Good idea. We'll help you
Yeah.
with that if you work with us.
Rely on a trusted agent. Find a trusted agent that can help you through this process. It's pretty complicated. There's contracts. We want to price it right. What happens to those homes that are overpriced?
They sit on the market and eventually they end up selling normally for less than they would have if they went on the market in the first place at the correct price. Buyers have access to information on home values. They're smart when they're walking in the door. They have a pretty good idea of what a home is worth. So you're going to get the majority of people through in the first week because they've been out looking and haven't found something that fits what they want. So that's when your backup of buyers come to the door. And if you don't get an offer then because something didn't mesh and it's normally the price versus condition, then now you have to adjust. And now you have to wait for new people to come in the market on that. And it takes longer and you normally lose money. I've been doing this a long time and I've seen it over and over and over again. Get it priced right to begin with. Have your agent show you why. And they should be able to show you, here's the comparable properties, and the ones that are on the market are your competition. The ones that have sold show you what the market was willing to bear. What you cannot say is, I need this much money, because the market doesn't care how much money you need. If you need this much money and it isn't going to happen, maybe you need to wait to sell your home, because there's nothing, no amount of marketing, no amount of anything that's going to guarantee this much money if the market isn't willing to bear that much money.
And having your home ready to sell is hard. You've constantly got to keep it clean. It's a lot of work.
It is.
Price it right the first time.
If you're living there, it is. And they do make appointments to come, and there is a lockbox that we show you how to use and talk to you about safety issues, and they're coming and you should leave, but you should also make sure all the curtains are open and all the lights are on, and maybe you have soft music playing and the house smells good. All of these things are part of marketing your home.
The dishes are done. It's a lot easier to sell it quickly than to be dropping the price again. If a home has been on the market for 120 days, what do people think about that home?
What's wrong with it? Why hasn't it sold when what they're hearing is we have a shortage of inventory and homes still are selling quickly? Why isn't that home selling? And it normally has to do with the fact that the home is not priced correctly to match location and condition. I will tell you that 70% of a buyer's decision on a home is made before they ever get to your home. If you are in a location they want, and the square footage is what they want, and the number of bedrooms is what they want, that's 70% of their decision right there. So you control the other 30%, and that is the condition. Is it clean? Does it smell good? Or, what does it look like when I walk through the door? What's the first impression? So you only have to deal with 30% of their decision making, hopefully.
And with the internet, they see everything.
They do.
That is it for episode 11 from Edge Group Teams, Getting Your Edge, How to Right Size Your Home and Life podcast. Thank you for joining us. You can see us on our YouTube channel if you like. And as always, we will have a freebie of tips and information that will on our website that will give you an insight of how better to sell your home. We'd love to hear from you. Comments, suggestions, reviews are great. You can send them to answers@edgegrouprealestateservices.com. And please follow us, like us, share us, send comments of this podcast or any others that you have seen. Thanks for watching, listening. Goodbye, Judy.
Goodbye, Dennis. See you next time.
That's it, folks. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for future episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks. Goodbye.